Welcome to the Inspired by Jacqueline podcast, a refreshing place for women struggling with entrepreneurship, faith, or infertility. Stay tuned for today's episode. Well, everyone, welcome again to Inspired by Jacqueline podcast. I love every special guest that comes because they're just truly amazing. And this next special guest is just as amazing. I am going to introduce my good friend and colleague, Annette Naif. She is an event producer, strategist. Okay, that's very important and that's key. And we'll share why later. She's an international speaker. She's a coach. She's the host of a Turn of Events live show and podcast. You need to tune into that because I've been there and she has amazing guests that she features on her platform. So definitely a must. She's the CEO and creative director of Naif Productions. She helps wedding and event planners start, build, and grow wedding planning business through a step-by-step framework to build a successful business. I'm going to turn it over to Annette to just share a little bit more about her.
Yeah. Well, first, I adore you. We've known each other for a very long time, and we've always collaborated together. And I just think you're so special. And I'm so excited to be here and honored to be on this show with you. And thank you so much for having me. I started over 30 years ago, which is, I can't even believe it myself, but I've had my business for almost 14 years now, which is a whole nother thing in itself. And I know we're going to get into a lot about entrepreneurship and all of that and starting a business. But, I had no idea, I didn't even think I was going to be going into this direction, but I've been doing events for over 30 years. I started in high school and I was the girl who put all the events together, and, got everybody together and did a road trip or whatever. So it was really second nature for me. When I was in my early 20s, I got a job with Sebastian, the hair product company. When I first learned that I could make money doing events, that was like so exciting. And over the years, I had many jobs in film and television. I was a production coordinator. And then my last corporate job, again, was 14 years ago. And I was working for a commercial real estate company. I was the director of operations and I was doing all of their events. I was planning all their events. The economy crashed and then I just decided to start my business. I had a cushy office. I had a job. I was making a lot of money. I had my own driver. I had like a great position. I was bored out of my mind. So I had just graduated college. I went to college late in life. So if you're interested in going to college, it was never too late. So I graduated college and I didn't start my business until I was 47 years old. So that in itself is a scary place to be when you're starting completely over. Now, I knew how to do events. In my sleep, but I didn't know how to run a business. And that has been a roller coaster for the last 14 years. But I'm so excited to be able to teach, how to start a business and build it and grow it and be successful. And you're always working on it. Like my calendar is jammed, it's just with so many things. And I just woke up this morning and I'm like, I have to figure out how not to have so many meetings. Because I'm at that point, I'm very busy. I get a lot of inquiries. If anybody's out there listening, I need some help. I'm figuring out how to not do so many darn meetings with these clients. Got to get some help on figuring out my time management and how do I need to give this much time to the client? I don't need to have all these darn meetings.
And I'm glad that you shared that because it doesn't matter which industry you're in. This is always a situation that you come upon, which is time management. Right. Yeah. And with time management, you also have to factor in your personal life.
Yeah.
Right? And how are you going to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy or that you're working towards? If even though you may have a schedule and be organized, sometimes there are certain things that at a certain time that you need to reevaluate. Right. So maybe 10 years ago, it wasn't so much of it
was all different things.
But now it is. So now it's the time to, let's look at that and revisit the time management. We may have to be thinking about reshifting what we do with our processes.
I have solid things in place, but I think it's gotten out of control. And you know what? It's kind of my fault because I'm allowing it to happen. And I want to make sure I'm giving great customer service and the
Yeah.
client, you know what I mean? And I teach this all the time is you need to teach them how to work with you. So if I teach them like, this is our system and this is how it works, and we're going to get to we're going to get to that successful event. You're going to have a beautiful event. We don't have to have 100, meetings before.
Right.
So that's on my list of, I love to teach. I love to help because I know when it was a struggle for me when I started, because I couldn't get anybody to help me. And I always knew that someday down the road, I was going to help and teach. I didn't know it was going to grow to this extent, but it's fantastic. And people say, well, why do you help people? Like, aren't you afraid they're going to take your client? Nobody can take my clients. Like they can't. Yeah. I mean, they could try to come in and, poach a client, but they can't, you have to walk in my shoes. I have many colleagues. We do the same things. Right. We go up for the same events, and sometimes they get them and sometimes I get them. Mm-hmm. So it really, there is tons of work out there. We couldn't possibly do all the work ourselves.
And then since we're already on the conversation of teaching and education, and you mentioned something that was key, the same with me. When I first started out, there was none of this. There was no education like this. There was no collaboration, community, and I love where it's going. So where do you foresee gaining knowledge?
So I think just, really understanding what you need. So I found somebody who was happened to be putting a course together. It was like a year-long thing, and it was a group thing, which was great because I got to meet other people in the industry. Mm-hmm. We could have accountability with each other, which is always important to have. And so I joined. It was like, I think like $3,500 for the year. And I was like, I can do it. But it was a huge amount of money to me at the time. And now I pay way more than that. But what do you think about, because I make money now, but I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if that's a lot. And I don't know. See, I've been super lucky. And all along the way, I've had probably 4 or 5 coaches. And it's just because you get like what you get out of that person. And then you go on to whatever the next need is. And everybody has their specialties. So I think it's just a matter of, I go with my gut. I really go with my gut a lot on who I'm going to work with and picking the right people. And, listen, I've been doing this long enough now that I can interview someone and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And I know that they get and can help me with what it is. I think in the beginning, you're not sure because you don't know what you don't know. Right. Yeah. And so, yes, experience is a big deal. And it takes time for that. That's something I can't teach, is that. Mm-hmm. I can motivate. I can help with the mindset. I can give you examples of things where it was a disaster and then we turned it around in the business part of it. I think you're going to know, like, if you don't know how to price yourself, or if you don't know how to get clients, or you don't know what forms you should use. Those are kind of the beginning things of, knowing what to do. How do you set the business up, right? If you don't set your business up legally the proper way, you're going to be in trouble. And I didn't know that until I was years into it. So you just think, oh, I'm starting a business. I got a website and I got a letterhead and I got a logo and here we go. It doesn't really work like that. So I've learned many lessons along the way, but that's what I love to teach. And I think it's just, just figuring out what it is. You're going to know what you need because you're not going to know like how to price and all that. So,
and I like what you say about the gut feeling, because that is so important. Whether a lot of what you're going into or a little bit, your gut feeling never leads you wrong. So really tuning into that.
Yep. So thank you. I just have to say something about that too. I've hired coaches along the way who didn't necessarily give me exactly what I was looking for at the time, but I always learned so much. So there's been several programs I've joined where I've spent like $15,000, $20,000 and I got into it and I learned so much. It didn't help me specifically, and maybe what I was looking for, it wasn't exactly the same, but there were so many other great things that came out of it. The people I met in it, other things that I learned. I started a Facebook group. I got into this one group and I started a Facebook group, and now I have like almost 3,000 people. I would have never started a Facebook group had I not gone into that coaching. And that's building into, for wedding and event planners. And so it's, I've learned so many different things that I didn't think I needed along the way. So there's always something good, but for the most part, I kind of go with my gut.
Yeah, I agree. And I share the same sentiment in reference to coaches because I definitely agree that there is a coach for different things.
Yes.
And I've had several that have been an impact for me at that time. Or, like you said, maybe you just received all that information and it didn't really click until maybe a few months later or a year
Right.
later, and you go, oh, yes, aha. And now it's coming together. So there is a benefit for them. The investment is whether you feel you can or can't. I'm not saying just jump and
Yeah.
pay what you really can't versus needing to eat for the week, but
Yeah. What a big dream.
really research it and
Yeah.
see what's beneficial, because you will receive a return on investment with a coach
Yeah. And
that has been in business, that has that knowledge. So research is very important. And I truly have come full circle in my journey with coaches. I currently have one that I'm about to renew our contract again because she has me like in shape with all the projects I'm working on and very focused.
I can't recommend enough to have a coach and to
Yes.
hold your hand along the process,
Yes.
to, really be there for you and support you. And, I'm now getting into group coaching, which was, I've been doing one-on-one for many years. And so that I've been in many group coaching, right, programs.
Mhm.
And it's so great because I just, the help you get from everybody, not just the person that's the coach or the mentor or whoever it is that has the program or whatever. It's the people in the program that have been successful. And so I always gravitate to the
Right.
ones who are super successful and have been there and done the road that I'm on right now. So
Yep.
I can't recommend enough. There are obviously all different kinds of prices out there. And if you're
Mhm.
not sure, listen, there are contracts that you have to sign to coach with people. If you can sign a smaller contract or go month to month, that's always a good thing, so that you're not paying like $15,000 up front and you're breaking it up in monthly payments. That's always
Right.
an easier pill to swallow, as so to speak, instead of paying it
Mhm.
all at once. I have done that, but I've gotten so much from everybody, and you need help. You got to have help.
Yeah, for sure. So, with that, the next part is, what do you do when you wake up every morning?
Oh gosh. So I wake up and I work out. That's kind of like
Awesome.
pretty much every morning is, I do take one day off a week just to settle, but I do work out pretty much every day. I have to. It's like my brain, I can't work out later in the day. I'm exhausted by the end of the day. So I have to get up. I'm not really a morning person, to be honest, but I
Okay.
do sleep. I don't go to bed at like a certain time, but I do sleep 8 hours every night. I'm one of those. I'm very lucky. And I get up and I work out every day. So the reason that I do work out every day or pretty much every day, is to make sure it helps me with my sanity. There's so many things, and I try to eat super healthy. So that's another thing that
Mhm.
I do. And obviously drink tons of water. I have like this gigantic jug that I now trying to do a gallon of water a day. And it's like, it looks ridiculous, but it just helps with my sanity so that I can clear my head and, really be in a good place. Plus you need to be strong to do events. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
lift 3 or 4 times a week, and it's no joke, especially as you get older, everything hurts. And let me tell you, you need,
What?
yes, it
Where
helps.
does that come from? What do you mean everything hurts? Like every
Everything
single
hurts.
part, every bone in your body?
It will hurt as you get older and you're moving tables and you're doing all kinds of,
Woo.
I try not to do that stuff now. I try to just like tell people to do
Mhm.
it, but I can't help myself. I come from old school where I did the work.
You and I are I and I. Yep.
I will pick up a broom. I will wipe up the floor. I don't care. That's just what, it's all part of doing events, but you want to be strong mind and body for events. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. So
I do walk a lot.
walking's good.
And at times I do decide I think I just do a lot more walking than anything else.
Yeah.
And that keeps my pressure going. It keeps me with the breathing. I started walking a bit more now in a park that's nearby. So it's even better with nature and all that.
That's cool.
So
Mhm.
really great. So now my next question is, how do you define being an entrepreneur, and how long did it take you to understand what the life of an entrepreneur is?
Yes. That's a great one. So when I started my business in, 2008 or 9, I had no idea. Like, entrepreneur was something when I was a kid that you were super wealthy and you were an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't like it is today where kind of anybody,
Everybody.
everybody and anybody can be an entrepreneur, but it wasn't like that growing up. So if you were an entrepreneur, because I came from, you worked a 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 or whatever it was. My family, no one has their own businesses. They all work and they make no money and they're always broke. And that's what I came from. So for me, I had no guidance in how to be an entrepreneur or what did that mean. It was so scary in the beginning because I had to pay the bills. I live in New York City. It's expensive in New York City. I like to travel. I like to buy shoes. I like to buy clothes, so there's a lot that's going on there that I have to, take care of myself. I don't have children, so I didn't have that expense, but I have nieces and nephews that I spoiled to death. So it's kind of the same thing. But so when I started, I really had no idea what it meant. I think I just jumped in and said, I'm going to start my own business. Right. So I knew how to set up the website and I knew how to incorporate because I had a legal background. So I knew how to do that stuff. I thought, it'll be fun to kind of have it. And I didn't even think at the time that I should be doing events, even though I had been doing them for so long. I was going to do a business management. I was going to help people manage their businesses because I was the director of operations. I was an operations person, right? And the events were kind of thrown in there as well. So it was kind of funny. And eventually I figured out, I have to talk about one thing I do because I just started getting a whole bunch of people wanting to help with their marketing. And I didn't want to do that. That's not what I was doing. So I finally figured it out. It took me about a year. But honestly, it took a while for me to kind of get the rhythm of an entrepreneur and not be nervous. I remember every year at the end of the year, December was the worst month for me. I would be so nervous and so scared and, it would be quiet because I don't do a lot of events at the end of the year. And I still to this day don't do it. And I love it now because it gives me time to shut down, think about what I'm going to do for next year. Cause I'm coming off of fall. It's a lot of events and I'm usually exhausted by December. And now I'm launching a coaching program. So I'm doing on top of all of that. But I really was so scared at the end of every year. It just made me so nervous that I wasn't going to get another client, or it was a depressing time. I'm not really a depressed person, but it was, I should say I was just scared, the fear of not being able, am I going to keep this going? But I just kept going. I just kept going. I just kept networking. I just kept marketing. I was visible. I remember back when social media came out, Facebook was out first, and I finally got on and when I first started, and I just started talking about my business and people were like, you can't market on Facebook. You can't do that. I was like, well, I don't know. Why not? Talk about, I didn't really know how to do it then. Now I'm like marketing crazy fiend, and I have a whole team of people that help me with all kinds of things, but that's grown. I did it all myself. That's what you do when you first start. So really the entrepreneur thing, I didn't have anybody to go to really talk to about with my family. They didn't understand the whole entrepreneur thing. So I started networking with other entrepreneurs. And then you get a group of people, you do masterminds together and you're kind of all on the same page with problems and how did you resolve this and who do you know and who can help me and that sort of thing. And networking was really the biggest thing, the biggest help for me to feel like I wasn't alone, because it can be a lonely place when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that so much of what you're sharing is just, I feel like you're describing a similar journey because I do get those questions a lot from those who are starting out. Oh, I haven't heard from any client. I said, you just have to be patient. Take that time that you're not getting the calls and getting leads and focus it back on you. Get some training classes, network, go out there and just build your portfolio, build your networking relationship, do something.
You have to market, you have to be visible, and you have to be consistent.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen. You have to be visible and you can't just do it once in a while. It has to be consistently.
Consistent.
It has to be all over different kinds of platforms. It's so different now than it was when I started, because, when I started, so many people saw you on social media. Now it's the algorithm. They don't see you. It's a whole nother ball game now. They figure out how to I don't know.
And that's another investment, finding someone who can either give you training or can do it for you and explain to you, what all of that means.
Well, that's a good point too, when I first started, I would do it myself. I would learn and do it myself. And then of course, as I started to get busy, I can hire people now, but I need to know what needs to be done. You as an entrepreneur wear all the hats, right? You have to kind of wear all the hats, and you have to kind of know, of course, I don't know, I'm not going to do my taxes, but I kind of have to know something about it, or my bookkeeping.
You have to know everything.
You really have to know everything. And so doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it. Don't do anything that you don't love. If you love doing graphics, do some graphics. But if now Canva, you can do it so easily now.
I love Canva. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. Yeah.
Anyone struggling with graphics needs to go into Canva if you can't invest in someone to do it for you.
And it can be free. And even the paid one is $9 a month or something. It's so cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you share that.
And here's the deal. Even in the beginning, you're going to feel like, I don't know what to do. Do I look professional? That's why it's always good to have a coach to help you along the way. But all along the way, you're still going to feel that way. There are times when, while I'm building this coaching program and I'm like, gosh, I'm putting so much time. I have all this team and we're all working super hard. I'm not going to give up on it. Even if I don't sell one course, right? I'm still going to fine tune it and get it to where, because I know I have so much value. But the thing is, don't pay attention to what other people are doing.
Yes. That's
because
important.
You're gonna, if somebody follows me and says, oh my God, I want to be doing this and I want to be on that and I want to do videos and I want to do the show and I want to do a that all built up. I'm 14 years in. So that didn't happen in the very beginning. I built up to all of this. You're going to have imposter syndrome. And sometimes, although I'm so positive about the program, and I know that I have so much value to give, but you still sometimes think, is anybody watching? Do they see the videos? Am I wasting my time? You just got to keep going. Because every now and then I get someone who will write me and say, I love your videos. I love what you're doing. I love that you're all over social media. And I'm like, okay, so they see me. I know other people do. So you just have to be consistent.
Yeah. And I love when you created your platform for your podcast and you kept going and you have that consistency. And I love it. I love the guests that you bring. Sometimes I can join live. Sometimes I'll revisit it. And if I'm on LinkedIn, you pop up and I'm like, okay, let's see if I have a few minutes here. Oh my gosh. Or on Facebook. So I do love everything that you put.
But that's another example. If I was scared to death to go on video and, listen, I can talk to the best of them. Right. And I can chat up like crazy, but I was scared to death to go on video. So I thought, okay, I have to go on video. I have to start getting people to see me because that's a big part of my program as well as I have to just, it can't be. So I thought the easiest way to do it is I'll bring my colleagues on, people in the industry. I did it when COVID happened and nobody was working and we were all trying to figure out what to do with our businesses. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to start interviewing because I had time to figure this out. And so that's an easy thing. You can start and do that. And then now I look forward to getting on and doing the program. But, that was scary. I was scared to death and it was sloppy in the beginning. It was scrappy, and even now when you get on and sometimes you mess up, when I'm my intro, sometimes I mess up and I named my program the wrong thing. I was like, wait, that's not the name of my program. Just keep going. You just have to not take yourself so seriously and keep going. And people want to see you that way. So if you're scared about that, just do it. And eventually it's going to be second nature. And I always like to do things that scare me in my business because then I feel like something bigger coming.
That's coming. And so earlier you mentioned that you're not a morning person, but you get up and you do your exercise. What is out of the entire 24 hours, what is the part of the day that you feel most productive?
Well, I guess sort of the middle of the day. I've worked out. I've had a couple meals in my belly. And I would say the middle of the day. By the end of the day, I'm dragging because I've got like so many, the emails and the meetings, like all my meetings. It's just a lot. And my team, the bigger you get, the bigger team you have. So managing all of that, I'm probably at the point where I should probably bring somebody in to help manage that. That's kind of where I'm at, which is great. But again, I'm still frugal in the business. I don't hire big, expensive teams. I don't do that. I mean, I do pay everybody, they instantly, like as soon as I get an invoice, it gets paid. I'm just like, it gets paid before the rent gets paid or the mortgage or whatever. So I think it's the middle of the day. Yeah. Because nighttime, I'm just like,
That's me now.
I'm dead.
The last year, it's like nighttime, I'm like dragging already. It depends what I'm doing sometimes also. If my mind is just working on something, I don't feel it until it starts shutting down. So the mind has a little bit to do with that as well.
Yeah. And I don't do anything before 10 a.m. Work-wise. It's me. It's my time. I get up, I work out, I have my little bit of breakfast in the morning before I work out. And then I listen to podcasts on my workouts. I used to listen to music. I'm so into podcasts now because it keeps me going. It keeps me motivated. I love listening to podcasts. I'm so into it. So that time in the morning is for me. And then just kind of like, then I have like an extra hour to kind of look at stuff and figure out what I have to make sure that what am I going to work on today and what's coming up in my meetings? What do I need to be ready for? I mean, I do look at that days in advance, but I have to keep looking at it because every day runs into the next one.
And things might change.
Yeah. And it could change. And, and then of course, the emails that come in, I'm very bad. I need to manage that a little better, but I have no emails in my inbox. I'm one of those. So it's, it's a constant thing, but that makes me feel good not having to worry about, 100 emails that I haven't looked at. I can't, that will make me crazy. So, everybody works differently.
Right. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
So this is funny because a lot of people have said that, and this is funny because my beautiful man is standing very close and he's probably going to laugh when I say this. So I feel like being a redhead is a superpower.
I love it. You're like, I don't need any superpower. Like
I already got it. Like it's a whole different thing.
Own it.
Redhead. I know. So I laugh about that.
I love it.
I've already got it. I'm a redhead. So
that is awesome. So let's chat about how long it took you to align your passion and your purpose. And when did you find out what your true purpose was? Or are you still figuring it out?
Obviously the teaching is so great. I love doing that. I love when someone contacts me and they're struggling with something and I help them and they're like, oh my God, this has been so amazing. Like, so I get so excited when I've helped someone with their business. And I don't know if I've really figured out, I mean, I've been doing this. I feel like this is what I do, but you always have dreams of being much bigger. But it's so funny as I've gotten older, it's like, I don't want a gigantic business,
right?
I just want a successful business that pays me good, that I can still enjoy myself, but I don't want to work that hard anymore, even though I work really hard. I just don't want to.
The industry, the industry we're in itself is like a hardworking industry.
It's very hard. Yes. Yes. And look, I just don't know if I want to have, 50 events a year. That's insane. I had a girlfriend that did 150 weddings a year. How do you even, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I've cut down already. I do less than 10 events a year. And this year was even less because, again, when we were discussing where we're at currently and things like that. So sometimes personal life, things happen. So,
That's
this was the year that I had to readjust a few things because I was taking care of my mom. And so I did less events. And then I chose for between this year and next year, I have already a few events in the books, but I'm leaving the rest of the time for projects that I'm creating and working on. So I have my continual clients. So there are certain clients that I'm not taking on because I don't want to overdo it and then go back to that grind of, that it feels like I'm doing 100 events a year. I don't want
Last
that.
year we did, COVID, and then there was really 2 years before it really started kicking up again. A lot of my clients didn't even do an event for a couple years after COVID. But last year, I have to tell you, it about killed me. I made so much money, but who cares? Like, it was just too much. And I was like, I'm just so happy it's kind of like evened out now. But it was too much. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to work. I don't want that many. So what you do is you raise your prices, and then you get all those smaller ones that are killing you. And the ones that don't pay you that much are usually the ones that take up so much time that it's not worth your money. It's not worth your time and effort and all of that. So that's when that happens. And so I've raised all my prices, which is great. So, and no one's blinking at it, which is kind of funny. I should have done it a long time ago, but I can always do it. So
I know, right? So can you describe what type of mindset you need as an entrepreneur?
Well, we touched a lot on mindset while we were talking, but mindset is so big. I mean, you really need to be in groups where you can get support from other people that are supporting you. And like, you have always been a big supporter. When I taught a class at NYU, you always came in and talked to the class. And that was just so awesome. And I don't even remember how we met because it's been so many years now, but someone
it must have been a networking event, maybe, or I can't even, we've known each other so long. I don't even remember.
But mindset, oh boy, I can't, listen to podcasts that talks about mindset. It's so important. You just can't give up and get down on yourself. And just having someone that's been there and done it is really, just talking to somebody that's been down that road. I coach one-on-one still. I have some clients that I'm coaching one-on-one, and, they do have moments where, I'm not doing as much as I should be doing. Listen, you are where you're supposed to be at the time where you're supposed to, like where you're at, right? So you can't get down on yourself. And if I didn't get a job where I thought, oh gosh, I really wanted that. I really wanted that one. That was the one that was I was going to make so much money on that. And that was going to change my life if I got that event. But you know what? Every time that I did, if I didn't, there were maybe like 2 or 3 that were really big along the way in the beginning that I almost got. And I didn't get them. It's because I wasn't ready for it. I can now look back and say, and even at the time after I didn't get them, if I don't get a job now, I get most of them. So I'm at the point now I can close almost 100%. But even if I don't, because there's sometimes I don't, there was a wedding I just didn't get. And okay, I don't get upset about them. It doesn't hurt me as much as it used to back in the day when I needed a job. I needed that work, Now I'm just like, okay, well, I'm here if you guys need me. And they're just like, we love you, but for whatever reason, that's okay. Like, it opens the door for other stuff. If another client and I didn't keep that client and that client decided to go on with somebody else, it opens the door for other things. So it's going to sting, but I don't think about that as much anymore. I think because there's so much work that comes in now, so it's a little different, but we all go through it in the beginning. You're not going to get everything, and you got to learn. It takes time to learn how to close the clients and all of that. That's something I teach in my program is, how to close. And, there's this one little thing that I do that has really changed. I get the clients. So, but just, you got to get support,
Agree. And do you notice anything currently that people come to you, 2 top things that they're struggling with?
Well, getting clients, right? And how to price themselves. Those are always the biggest questions that I get. I don't know how to price myself. How do I get clients?
And then what would you share is the biggest takeaway from the conversation we've had today?
Oh my gosh. It's just, just having support and being consistent and not giving up, at the end of the day. It's having a support team around you. Don't give up, and you got to be visible. You have to be visible in order to for people to find you, and get a coach.
Oh, yes. And get a coach. So I know we started off talking about education and coaching, and I feel that it's something important, especially if you're struggling in one area or you feel you're struggling with everything. The coach that I have right now, she is able to sit with me and evaluate where I need to be as far as, okay, I'm doing all of this. where
Right.
should I be?
Right.
And, helping me focus in where I want to go.
Right.
Right. And then it's kind of, I say, whipping me into shape and say,
Yeah.
don't go to that next line until,
Yes.
you've
Accountability is everything. You
reached that
really
full potential.
you
Yeah.
need to have someone holding you accountable for
Yes.
getting things done. That's why I have a team of people that are helping me create this course. I
Mhm.
can't do it all myself. It's
It's a
insane.
lot.
It's so much. I
Yeah.
can't believe it. I can't wait till it's done and
Yeah.
ready to go. But it's a lot to put together because it's so many things you have to put on there. But it's going to be great.
Yep. And then I'm going to share this in the show notes, but just tell me how people can reach out to you. I know you're on LinkedIn, you're on every social media, but where should they connect with you?
Well, so I do have a Facebook group. If you're a wedding planner or event planner, you can come into the Facebook group. We don't allow vendors in. I love my vendors, but it's only for wedding and event planners. It's called Event Planner Society Facebook group. It's called Event Planner Society, but it's a Facebook group. And so come in there. It will be, I'm all over social media at Annette Naif or Naif Productions, but at Annette Naif is where you can find me on all of the platforms. But the Facebook group is really where you can come in or just follow me on social media. You'll see all my stuff.
Awesome. Is there something that you want to share that we didn't cover?
No, I mean, I guess I should mention my podcast, which I'm so bad about not mentioning it, but it's called A Turn of Events. I do a live show, but it also is a podcast called A Turn of Events. You can find it on, Spotify, all those channels, but also I'm on YouTube. If you just look up my name, Annette Naif, or A Turn of Events, it'll come up. Come over there.
Every Thursday?
So we do try to, yes, we go every Thursday around 1:00. We try to do that. Sometimes people can't make it at that time, or if I have an event, I can't do it. But yes, we're doing a lot of stuff that is every Thursday at 1:00. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, it was so great to have you.
Thank you.
And, one of the things that I do see and that I've seen for as long as I know you, and I think it resonates with what I feel is a part of your purpose, is just being very open, transparent, and giving. And I don't want people to confuse giving with being free. Giving, you're the type of person that you don't close the door in front of someone who's looking for information. You can direct them or say, oh, this is what I'm offering or whatnot. So I truly appreciate you because you're just amazing. I've always seen that in you, community and transparency. So I love you for that because, again, I wish you nothing but the best in everything you do.
You too. You've always been there. You're always been there for me. And I'm just so grateful for our friendship. And I think you're a wonderful person.
Thank you so much for being here. And I am looking forward to what you have in store in your journey in the future and just looking to celebrate everything that you're doing. So take care. And thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. You too.
Wow. Another amazing episode of Inspired by Jacqueline podcast with Annette Naif. In our conversation today, we talked about entrepreneurship and education, networking, support. Another thing that was mentioned was your gut feeling. And this is something that I've discussed in past episodes. Your gut feeling will never lead you wrong. And it's so true. So whether you're looking to make an investment in a coach or an investment in any platform or anything, your gut feeling will lead you to the right decision. So hope that you were able to take away a few tidbits from today's episode. Stay tuned for the next episode coming up shortly. And before you go, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, download, leave a message. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode and make sure to tune into the other episodes. Take care. Bye.